Hello everyone and welcome back to Greenpine Zoo and Gardens. And have a look at this zoo. Doesn't it look like a zoo already? We do have so many nice habitats already and I really love this zoo. I really love it and I am so happy that the performance of this zoo is still pretty good. So I can provide you with lots of videos in the future, hopefully. And yeah, it will take a lot of time until the zoo is going to crash. So, talking about that, first of all, before we get into what we are going to create in today's episode, we are going to have a look at the wings of Asia. The area that we built in last week's episode. A huge, massive walkthrough aviary for 4 different species of birds. You can see the red-crowned crane on the right, and you might have catch a glimpse of the mood swan that were on the left side. Here we do have a greater flamingo, and you also could have seen one of the peacocks that do live in here as well. So 4 different species, all can roam around completely free here in this aviary. Somebody asked me in last week's episode in the comments, how did I manage that the animals are staying in their separate areas in here when you can't see any of the barriers? Well, there are no barriers, there are no separate areas for the animals. The animals can roam around completely free here in this aviary. So the only barriers that are in here are the walls of the aviary. And that is pretty cool. The only thing that I do have to take care of is I think I do have to get the Indian peafowl on birth control, because I don't want to have lots of those in here. I don't see any problem for the flamingos right now, as well as for the crane or for the swans, but I don't want to have like 20 peafowls in there, so that won't work for me. So I think I might put them on birth control. Yeah, we already do have babies in here. The only birds that we don't have, where we don't have babies, are the mood swan. I don't know if they are pregnant right now or if they are not. I can't remember that, but all of the other birds do have babies already. So what are we going to do today? We are building a habitat for animals that are not very that's not true. That are not very common in zoos, that you actually can't find in any zoo. We're going to build for the wild Asian water buffalo. And, as I said, the wild Asian water buffaloes can't be found in any zoo that I know of. So there's no zoo in whole Europe where you can find them. There's no zoo in North America where you can find them. There's no zoo in Australia, I guess, where you can find them. So if you know any facility or any zoo where you can find the wild Asian water buffalo, let me know in the comments, because I would love to see them in real life. And maybe as I'm traveling a lot, I will see them in real life at one point. But as of today, I don't know any zoo that is keeping these animals, which is pretty funny because they are the only animal here in Planet Zoo in this game that you can buy for your zoos that actually is not be seen in any other zoo. Even the platypus is not a common animal, but you can see them in North America, in San Diego. You can see them in some Australian zoos. But as I said, the wild Asian water buffalo, not so much. Which also makes it some kind of a weird choice. Why would you choose to add an animal that is so specific And so, how should I say that without offending the water buffaloes? That is not very exciting. Let's be real. The wild Asian water buffalo is not an exciting animal for most of you guys. So why add it to this game? I don't know. But I'm very happy because I really like bovines, antelopes, deer, all those kind of animals. So I'm very happy to have them in here. So yeah, but I think it's time to quit that monologue before it gets too boring for you guys. I'd like to turn it around and get back to the actual topic of today's video. So they are perfect fit, as some of you guys said in the comment sections the last few weeks, for this area, and they are indeed, because we do have the chital, or the European fallow deer, that is acting like it is the chital in the habitat right next to them, and also the babirusa, so they are a perfect fit for this area. By the way, I had a look at Nexus mods because I was curious if there is actually a mod for the chital which we could have used if we wanted to. And actually there is one that is pretty amazing and looking very good. So if you guys are interested in mods, go to Nexus, look up for Planet Zoo mods, and you will find thousands of different animals that you can find there, which are amazing. It was pretty hard for me to get myself together and say to myself, no, we're not using mods in any of our projects. We're only going to do that once the game is finished, but not right now. Because there were so many amazing animals that would have made so much sense to put in here in this Asian area. Not just the chital, there was also yeah, some very common Asian animals like the black buck or the nilgai, also the banteng, and as well the gaur, which is the biggest, most massive bovine that is living on this planet right now. So yeah, so many great animals, and I got none of them. I'm very proud of myself and also very sad. Yeah, but I'm pretty happy with all the animals that we do have in the game, and therefore it's okay. So first of all, I was building the indoor area for the water buffaloes. I wanted it to be looking a little bit like a shelter for domestic cows. So that was my go-to in here. I had to make some changes in the end because the wild water buffaloes are massive. So I had to change the door a little bit and make it a little bit bigger so that they could actually go out and go in of their shelter. And I also had to make some minor changes on the inside because I wanted to have something like a little separate area on the, yeah, when you look at the building from this angle, on the right side of it. So if you have babies, you could separate them with the mom on that side, or if you wanted to separate the bull, you could separate it on that side. Yeah, that spot was a little bit too small, so I had to change that, and yeah, we do have a separation area in there, but not as big, or not in the shape or form that I was planning to have it. But yeah. Yeah, also was looking up some of the gates that we could build in here. So the one that I'm creating right now, I was googling for stable gates, if you would call it that way in English. I don't know. And yeah, a picture like this, what I'm creating right now, came up, and I thought, okay, that's pretty easy to create. I'm going for that. Because usually I build doors like the ones that I built for the babirusa and the fallow deer. And I didn't want to build the same mechanics every time, so I wanted to have something like this with a little bit of a different movement, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And I think it looks pretty realistic in the end. So copying the whole thing, so we do have the same on the right side. And there you go. Yeah, the whole building is going to look quite similar to the one for the chital and the babirusa, because the animals are quite similar, or in quite a similar animal family, and so therefore it would have made total sense. And I also wanted to go not too crazy in today's episode, as we did that in last week's episode, so I wanted to go a little bit more chill and know what I'm doing, and not having to come up with too many crazy new ideas. Oh, and with that being said, once again I'm calling for you guys to tell me what actual animal could we put in the zoo next week. So if you have any ideas, let me know in the comment section. I'm open for almost anything. I don't want to go into the Himalayan area right now already, because I think we are not quite done with the tropical area. So I was thinking, as I promised so many of you guys, that we are going to have a cat house. What about starting a cat house? I think right on the opposite side of the path, right next to the water buffaloes, we could have a nice habitat for the Bengal tiger, for example. And we could also use that cat house to actually make a connection from the Asian area to the African area. So we can have the tigers in there. We can also have the Amur leopards or the snow leopards, both of them Asian. We could have the Pallas cat for Asian animals as well. And we could make the connection for the African part with maybe the cheetah, the African leopard, the lions, the sand cat. The sand cat would make a great connection because they actually do live in Arabia, I think. So that would be a great connection between Asia and Africa. Yeah, and I'm just thinking about any other cats that would make sense, but I think that's it. Yeah, and I think those are... No, those are not the only continents that we do have, where we do have big cats from. We also do have the cougar from North and South America, and we also do have the jaguar from South America, and also parts of North America. But they actually won't fit in there. They might get a different spot in the zoo or no spot at all. I just don't know about that. But let me know in the comment section what you think about that idea. Should we go for a big cat house right now, or should we go for something else before we do that? Let me know. I'm happy to learn what you guys think or what you guys want to see. I'm just thinking what would be other options what we could do down here, but I almost can't think about any other option. Yeah, we can have monkeys, but we already do have the gibbons on the beginning of the zoo. So sure, orangutans would make sense. Yeah, as I said, just let me know. So here you can already see the entrance and the separate area that I was talking about, where I wanted to have the calves in there and the mother, or the bull and mother and calves with all the other cows in the big part of the stable or shelter. But it didn't work that way, like it does almost all the time with the hitboxes of the animals. That is something that I just can't get right most of the times, which is a little bit annoying, but yeah. Which brings me back to the idea, I started something like the animal measuring, where I was looking up the correct sizes of the animals and get a glimpse or get a clue on what animals that we do have in the game are the correct size, which are too small or maybe too big, because some of you might remember the size comparison of the Bactrian camel, which was way too small. Yeah, and therefore I also wanted to do something like a set that you could download in the workshop with the hitboxes for the animals, so that you could have something like let me look that word up real quick. Something like a template or a stencil that you could actually use when you build houses or shelters for your animals, that would always have the perfect size for your animals. I would have loved to do that, I just don't know why I didn't do that. But I think it's with, yeah, it's like as it is with the most projects that I'm thinking of, I just don't have the time for that. But maybe I'll get back to that at one point. So we are creating the water area for the water buffaloes. Therefore I had to, yeah, I had to be a little bit creative, because we do have the dry mode on the side for the Chital and the Babirusa, and even though I have built the concrete walls between the habitat, the water would get through this. The only thing that could stop the water getting through that would be a glass barrier. So I had to make parts of the barrier that were actually invisible into a glass barrier, so that the dry mode on the left side won't be filled with water as well, because we don't want that. I don't want to see swimming deer or babirusa. I just don't want to see that. And yeah, therefore I used the glass barrier and everything is fine right now. So we have the water for the buffaloes and no water for the deer. Quite a big water area. It's going to change a little bit because I wanted it to be looking a little bit more artificial. So therefore I was using those concrete pillars and also not those concrete walls. These are just an example. I'm going to do that off screen in a few minutes, so you won't see it, you just will see the finished product. I was using the once again looking up the word that I'm always asking for, the limestone pieces, the small limestone pieces. Yeah, here you can see the finished product. I was using those limestone pieces, putting the dirt pieces on top of it to make it look a little bit more realistic, so that the whole pool looks more artificial, more man-made and not that natural, and that you do have these clean borders for the pool. And I really do love how it looks in the end. The whole habitat looks very, very zoo-ish, I think. And yeah. Some of the faux rocks. Once again, we're not going to have too much foliage in here, because once again, we do have animals in here that would eat all of it, and so therefore, yeah, it's better to not have too much of it. And here's the little trick that I use many times when I'm doing this mud bath for the animals. Just have a little bit of water in there and put the mud bath into the water, into the dirty water. That is very, very important. And when you put it in the water, you don't see those ugly borders around it, and it looks more like a natural mud bath for the animals, and it works completely fine. The animals will use it, they will take a bath in it, they will get dirty, so it works completely fine if you do it like this. It also works for the food enrichment, that is also in the same shape, and therefore you can use that trick as well. Just put some water in it, put the food enrichment item into the water, get the water out once again, and you can sink it into the ground without the ground adjusting to it. So that's an easy way to make it look more natural. So some of the bison grass. We're going to have a little bit more plants in here. I also really do love this one here that I definitely can't pronounce. It's from the Australia DLC or the Oceania DLC. I think it's the Australia DLC. The tree ferns that are going everywhere right now. And some more trees. I really do love these planters right next to the barrier for our visitors, because it makes the actual barriers disappear for the eye. So it looks so cool that you can actually come so close to the animals because you don't see any barriers behind of that. And you get a real clear view of the animals. That's also something that I really enjoy when I'm going into a zoo, when the barriers are built in a very clever way, so that you actually can't see the barriers at all, or only a glimpse of it. Yeah, and here you can already see what I meant. It looks very zoo-ish, very realistic, the habitat, and I really, really, really love it. So having some dead trees in there as well, that is also something like an enrichment item for some of the bovines or a hoofstock, because animals with horns or antlers use those to scratch themselves. So putting the invisible barriers down. And I have to say, this habitat was built pretty quick. So as I was building like 5, 6, 7 or 8 hours for some of the habitats in here, this took me only like 2 or 2.5 hours, and after that it was done already. So some of the evergreen pieces here in the pool. To give it a little bit more of a dirty look. Yeah, and there we go. Some more plants in here. They actually don't make sense, but yeah. I just wanted to have a little bit more green in here. And I think it's not too much. So the last thing that we are doing before we come to an end in here is creating a green area right next to the aviary. So I don't want to have a habitat in every free space of the zoo. That is also not very realistic. You're not going to see that in a real zoo as well. You're not having one habitat right to the next habitat. That is something that is more like 60s or 70s or even 80s zoo vibe, where you wanted to have lots of animals in a very limited space. That is not how zoos do look these days, so I wanted to have some green areas right in between as well, so that we have close that area up and have room for the next one. As I told you, maybe for the Bengal tigers that could go in there right on the left of this plant area. And when I think about the Bengal tigers, I think I only built once for them. No, that's not correct. I think it was 2 times. Once in Swamp Lake Zoo, my first zoo ever here on Planet Zoo or on YouTube, and also in Arizona Adventure Park, but not recently. So there's none of them in Litchfield Zoo, and there's none of them in
Brooksburg Zoo as well. So it's definitely time for some tigers, I think. So just a few more plants, not too much of them, because I wanted this to be a little bit open at some point to make it look a little bit more realistic and natural as well. And then we are done, we are ready for the real-time part, and I hope you guys did enjoy today's episode. I hope you did like what I built in here. If you did so, just leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that already, and I hope you guys will tune in next week when we are going to continue to build in Greenpine Zoo. Maybe for the tigers, let me know in the comment section. So take care, have a great week, your bake and play, bye!